Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Institute Industry Forum. So we know that here it is mentioned Tamsoma Jyotirgamaya. It means that the aim of this forum is to go from ignorance, that is darkness, to the light of knowledge. So briefly, I will give idea about this forum and today's webinar expert. So we have webinar on synchrophasor, that is a phasor measurement unit technology. So we have today faculty, expert faculty, Mr. Chandan Kumar sir, who is a manager at POSOCO, presently working at ERLDC. So I welcome him. And once again, welcome to everyone. So in brief, I will give idea about this Institute Industry Forum. It is basically formed to bridge the gap between academic and industry. So on this digital platform, we arrange regular webinars. There are so many experts from industry as well as from institutions who are presenting here in this platform. Also, more than 200 students are connected we have in the Technovision Academy, where for students we give guidance for their projects, dissertation, and seminars. We also participate them in these regular webinars, and job updates are also given on this platform. So about today's faculty, sir has already told me that I have to introduce him in very brief, but still I am trying to manage his introduction. There are he is expertise in so many things in power system. So he has vast practical experience in the particularly power system operations. So he is working in a power system study group, as well as he has experience of power system protection, wide area management system, wide area situational awareness analytics. Then he worked with implementation of and operationalization of WAMS pilot projects. Then he has carried out the events analysis of power system events in Indian grid. Again, he has a design of system protection schemes for regional grids, and he is an associated member for preparation of various synchrophasor based use report for POSOCO. Again, he has so many membership of like SIGRE, IEEE, and many more. And also he is a co-author for several papers with the team members, and also he's delivering so many lectures on academia and industries like PGCL, MPP, TCL, and so many organizations are there where he is connected. So he is actually passionate about the power system, and he has his own channel, YouTube channel. There are so many useful videos are there for our power system engineers. Practical knowledge he has shared. There are so many videos there. He has IEEE papers available. Again, some of papers on ResearchGate also available. So such a expert personality today we have for this webinar. So once again, I welcome to sir, and I'm requesting him to start his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Hope I am audible to all of you.
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Yeah, just let me share my screen. In case if this there may be some technical glitch on the side that this presentation, or I may get disconnected, immediately call me. Okay, I have two Wi-Fi's connected, so that I should not get any disruption in between, or if there is any background, some work is going on here. So if there is any background noise, then I may disconnect for a 1 or 2 minutes to shift into the another room. So
Sure,
Hope
sir.
this whether this presentation is visible to all.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, rather than wasting any time, we should now hope it is visible. Okay,
Yes.
now it is visible.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
So, dhanyawad, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, good morning, everyone. So today I got this opportunity to share whatever I have learned from my gurus, my mentors, and my other power system colleagues and experts from a state and industry academia also. Everyone has contributed in this area, and I have learned from all of them, and I will be sharing those experiences today with all of you. So the topic is wide area monitoring system and its application in power system. So we will start from very scratch. Many of you may be knowing this, but certainly maybe it will be a new topic for many of you also. So certainly we will start from the sketch why this technology or why this particular development is required. So yeah, our first job will be to my first job will be to introduction of the synchro phasor. What is basically synchro phasor? So we all know that there are signal in power system. Okay, means like you have current and voltage. So how you measure current and voltage? First, you take a reference. Reference means IT is equal to 0, or you take a sine omega t, something like some reference you take or some conversion you do, so that this whatever the signal that you are observing, you can represent it in mathematical forms. So in the similar way, in our power system, we have phasors. Okay. So phasor is basically what? It is a sinusoidal representation of any signal waveform, and it has a magnitude and has a phase also. So phasor representation of any sine wave, it is a phasor with a straight line drawn in such a way that length is related to the amplitude. You can see on the right side. I will just enable my pointer. Yeah. So you can see that it is the representation is like this one. You have seen this already. You have in our engineering courses, also in our day-to-day means power system operation also, these are being used. So basically the length is related to magnitude, and the phase angle is the angular measurement between the point on the wave and the reference point. And at whatever this at what speed it is rotating, it is basically called the angular speed of that is omega, basically for that particular phasor. Okay. So this is basically a basic definition of the phasor. So in power system, what kind of phasor do we really see? Basically, we see the current phasor and the voltage phasor. And from the voltage and current phasor, we came to know about the frequency at which it is rotating actually, omega. So basically the genesis of all the power system parameter will be coming from the frequency, this voltage and current phasor itself. So whether in the power system, do we really do all the operation based on the phasor, or we go for the only the phasor means magnitude as well as the angle also. So can we do this kind of activities in real time or not? That we will look into. So this is how this is a substation. Okay, this is a substation A, and this is a substation in power system, which are located quite far away. Okay, if you have any doubts in between, you can interrupt me, you can ask me, or you can put it in the chat box so that we can later on take at the end of the session also. So if you don't understand, means if you get any confusion in between, so you can ask immediately also, so that we can resolve the queries in between also. So this is a substation A, and this is a substation B. Okay, so this is a voltage phasor is there, and this voltage phasor is again here also. So yeah, there you are knowing that, okay, I have a put some measurement device here which can measure this kind of quantity, and some measurement device which are able to measure this kind of quantity here also. But as for operation, you have to put these both quantity on the same plot itself. What is this to get this particular, how much is the angular separation with this plot as well as this plot. So how you are doing this activity? So how you can measure this? You can see that this particular phase difference only you can measure if you have this green axis, basically what we call as a reference axis. If this reference is not available, you will not be able to measure these kind of quantities. Okay, so for any measurable quantity, you need a reference from where you have to compare both the quantities. So if it is a voltage here, it is a voltage here, then you already know that, okay, this is V sine omega t 0 at a phi angle, the phase angle is 0, and it is at a phase angle phi. Then already you are comparing this 0 with respect to some axis itself. So you have already defined some reference there. So then In the real time, when you go to the field and you have some measurable devices like relay or whatever the substation recorder, there are also some references there. That reference come from basically from the GPS or the GPS clock that is there. So that provide a reference that, okay, from this point you had to start, and GPS can provide the same reference point to the other point also. And if you get any measurable quantity from these two substation with respect to a GPS, then you know that, okay, for this particular time, this wave is at this point and this wave is at this point. So I can compare them equally. Okay. So this is how the phasor can be utilized in the operation. But the problem is that whether we can get this phasor really in the real time at a control center or any places from the different location in the grid. We have multiple nodes in the grid. We have more than thousands of the nodes in the grid from different location in all over India, and all are synchronized all are in the synchronous grid itself. So if we want to measure an angle between from one location to another location, whether we will be able to do that or not, or what are the problems that we are going to observe and how we can resolve this. So we will look into that. So first we will know that how we can utilize this phasor for any operational point of view. Okay, so what you can do is that phase angle separation monitoring. You know that phase angle is very important. How the actual power flow from one point to another point depend upon what is the phase angle separation between that is the delta that we know. So what is the phase angle separation between this voltage and this node voltage, and based on that the actual power will flow from this point to this point, right? So, and then you have the magnitude, whether the voltage is above this band or whether the voltage is below this band, operational band. This also information is required for operation. If the voltage is not within the reasonable band or the operational limit band, then you have to control the voltage. So that information is also required. And there can be other application in the form that you can utilize those phasor for frequency also. You can utilize those phasor for rate of change of frequency, other quantity that you can derive from that phasor itself. So that's why this phasor can be utilized in the real-time operation also. And you have this voltage and current phasor, then you can see the power factor also, what is the phase angle between voltage and current, and you can decide what is the power factor, how much reactive power will be there, how much active power will be there. All these you can calculate from the voltage and current phasor itself. So we will look what is the challenge in utilization. So I already told you this will be a large data set. I will show you how this large data set problem will be coming. Because why we are talking about why this online phasor information for grid operation is challenging, because it will constitute a large data set. It will have you will require a high communication bandwidth. Okay, let us say this is a sinusoidal wave. So you know that a sinusoidal wave in our system, like we have a 50 hertz system. So in 20 milliseconds, we have one cycle. And to get a very good accurate picture of this particular phasor, you need to have at least 96 samples around 96 samples in this 20 millisecond to construct this particular sinusoidal wave completely. Okay, so this will be required to get a very good picture of the sinusoidal wave. Because the 50 hertz is there, then you should have the sampling speed of more than 2, right? So 100 hertz should be there. Okay, so more number of samples will be required in that. Nyquist criteria you have to follow. But further you have to get a very accurate picture, then you increase it to very further higher speed. So in that manner, you can properly get a picture of this particular sinusoidal wave. Then, so that's why it will be a large 96 samples you can see for this particular phase, and 96 samples in 20 milliseconds. Then you can, example is that how many will be there in this. So into multiply it by 50, or 96 into 50, and then it is R by B. There are 3 phases in the system. So R by 96 into 50 into 3. So it will be becoming a very large number for you. So this becomes a very large data set problem also, if you wanted to get a complete sinusoidal wave at control center itself. So a challenging job. So how we will resolve, we will look into that. Then if this much amount of data for a single particular phase for 20 milliseconds is required to be sent to the control center, then this will require a very high communication bandwidth also. Then if it is okay, let us say we are able to send this kind of data to the control center also. Okay, that 20 millisecond data, 96 samples for one particular one cycle, and I am able to send it to the control center. Then let us say I have 500 or 10,000 nodes from which the same data is coming from the different voltages for different voltages. So I have to parallelly process all those kind of data, and I have to put it at this timestamp. Let us say this timestamp it is equal to 0. I am getting this particular point also from this phasor, different location. So let us say 1,000 location I am getting. So I need a very high speed processing capacity at my wherever I am collecting all those data, or where we call it basically in the control center where it will be utilized. Okay. So that will be the case. So again, if it is a very high data set, then we need a very larger storage. Then problem is that you need to have a common reference for them, because without common reference, you cannot basically reorder this data at the control center at what time which data is coming. Otherwise, we cannot utilize the phasor information completely, because if the reference is not there. So this will completely become a very big problem for us, all of us, because it will be resulting in a very high cost justification and utilization. So whether we can really go for it. So what we do is that what we need is a cost optimization. We need a measurement methodology and technology improvement in that. So how this synchro phasor comes in, this is how the synchro phasor comes into picture. So let me again explain the complexity. This is a 50 Hertz signal, okay? It is sampled at 2 kilohertz rate, because 2 kilohertz is a very good sampling rate, because we wanted to know a complete picture of that, whether any abnormality in this particular waveform, 50 Hertz waveform is there or not. So 2 kilohertz means it will be a large, because it will be a 2000 samples in 1 second. So this is a like digital to analog sampler is there. Okay. So this is creating a sample phasor of 2 kilohertz. This is just basically this. Because in our system, we will not be able to directly, we have to go for the digital to an analog to digital converter, and we get 2000 samples in 1 second data for one phase each time. And again, the same issue is there. Then whether if you create this kind of, whether you send this to the control center and then you create such kind of thing, then it is becoming a lot of time, lot of huge data is there. So it is not an ideal solution for all of us. So what we can do is that one activity that we can do, we have all read about the Euler transformation in our colleges, or the, you can say the Fourier transformation also, how we can utilize a discrete Fourier transform also we have read. So how we can utilize those signal processing technique to get this phasor information and control center in effective way. So that's how we are going to see this. So what we do is that, okay, let us measure locally. I have a GPS reference point this. What I will do is that at all the location, I will have a device which can collect this basic information of this, but from this particular time synchronization point, t is equal to 0. Let us say right now it is the time. Okay, let us say 10 is there, 11:10 hours. I will tell all the GPS clock to go for a window, time window. It will take the time window. Let us say I just intimate that each device has been set to have a time window of 20 millisecond or 40 millisecond. Okay, so this is a 20 millisecond time window. So in that, if the reference point at which this, at one place this can be like this, other place it can be slightly shifted. Okay, this can be like here itself. So in that manner, what I have a time window at each place, at each devices, wherever it is. And what I can intimate the device that you have to just find what is the phasor that this particular waveform is representing when it is in this. So what it can do is that it can apply the discrete Fourier transform. It is the signal processing technique. And based on that, what you will get is that it will just try to create what kind of signal is this one. So it is we already know that most of these signal, our power system signals are sinusoidal. So what it will do, it will try to create a sinusoidal signal out of this. So it will estimate what sinusoidal signal it is representing within this waveform with this much amount of quantity of data. So this can be done locally at the site with some devices or some algorithm. I will put some device there which has a time reference and which has this time window defined. So what it will do for this time window, it will define this particular Vm by root 2. This is the magnitude, and this angle theta it will define at theta is basically with respect to reference, some reference it will be. Okay. So this particular device is just giving me this particular quantity Vm. Whether we have allowed somebody else to this annotate on this.
Sorry, sir, making it disable for them.
Yeah, sure. If you have any question, you can ask me. There is no issue in that. Okay. So what I just am telling you that this is t is equal to 0. Okay. So in this window, time is equal to this is 20 millisecond itself. Okay. This is written here. So in this time window, it will estimate this phasor. We already know that how the estimation can be done, or you can go through any literature, means power system, or you can go through any signal processing book, that this can be estimated simply like a Vm. This is the magnitude and this is the angle theta. Okay. So let us say we will look into that if there is a slight shift. Let us say the time window start from this place to this place. Okay. So certainly there will be having a this theta initially here for this point, it is like 0. For this point, this theta may be something else. Okay. So this theta will be something else. This will be some value minus 30 degree or plus 30 degree, depending upon the phase shift or phase lag. Okay. Somebody, Vishak Paul, has raised his hand. Can you ask your question, or can you type in the chat box so that somebody else can tell me about the question, what you have?
Should I unmute?
Kindly unmute him. Yeah. Let us keep it as interactive, because otherwise it will be online lectures are quite boring.
So good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
So this is Vishak Paul, sir. Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, actually, during my MTech, I had worked on this topic only, and I used the algorithms non-recursive DFT and recursive DFT for estimation of the phasors. Okay.
Right.
So in non-recursive DFT also window shifting is happening. Okay, means again and again, new windows are taken and we are getting the phasors. So are you discussing about the same technique here also, or
Yes. Yeah, basically this phasor estimation, I am just giving you first the basic, that there can be this is the, you can say this is basically a recursive technique. One is, because it will be not be quoting any error, like you are not trying to reduce the error. In non-recursive, you try to reduce the error also, but here in the recursive, the error will be keep on increasing. So we will not go into that much intrinsic detail. We will look into how we can do this activity. Algorithm is a separate aspect, because discrete Fourier transform can be done with either you can go for this recursive or non-recursive. Those things are already there in the paper. In this presentation also, I think at the end I have added some slide on that also.
Okay.
So we can look into that. We will look more into the side of the application, how we are going to utilize it. Okay, let us first look into whether I wanted to make you all understand that how this phasor is estimated first of all in a simple way, and why this problem is there, in why we cannot do this activity at control center, and why we are going to do these activities rather than going with this complete phasor data for each time window, time millisecond information. We are going for a 20 millisecond only this particular information, rather than going for these particular things and getting it to the control center and then estimating all the things. So that will be a quite cumbersome task, right? So this we are doing it in a simple way to estimate this particular information and send it to the control center. So hope it is clear, right? Okay, we can discuss that on the parallel side. You can call me, or we can discuss on those issues, but let us focus right now here itself on this. So the task is that, okay, so you are doing this estimation. Just I told you that this particular part you are doing this estimation for this one control center. Okay, one particular location. You can have a device which can do this activity at all the location, right? Okay, all the location I have the same device. It should get the same it should get the same signal from one common reference or one common point, that at the same time it will start this time window. So some places this phasor will be like this. At some places the phasor will be slightly shifted because of the phase shift in the power system due to the wherever the source is located or wherever the load is located. Based on that, this shift will be there. So based on that, it will be having this phase shift, and we will have a phi. So we only now, what is the information that we are getting in 50 milliseconds? So much sample was required earlier. Now what is the requirement is there? It will only give me two quantities, Vm by root 2, that is the magnitude, and the angle, phase angle is there. Nothing else is more important to me. We are getting an estimated quantity for this particular window. So we are thinking that, okay, there is not much change in this window in the terms of frequency or in terms of this is a perfect sinusoidal wave kind of scenario. If there is a change, we will look into that, how it will be handled. So this provided me a solution, okay, that for a particular time window, what I can do is that I can estimate the phasor at the site, time stamp it. I will time stamp it at t is equal to, this phasor is for my measuring time t is equal to 0. I will send only that information to control center at, let us say, each time window. Let us, I am taking a 40 millisecond or 20 milliseconds, something like that. So whether it will be able to give me complete information? No. It will be giving me a good amount of information on the system dynamics, which is happening in, let us say, my one sample is coming at whatever the measurement window I have taken. Let us say I take a sample like 25 samples per second. So my window is like that, 25 samples. If I am taking a quantity, then I can measure the dynamics up to like 12.5 hertz, right? 12.5 hertz dynamics I can measure, but not the 50 hertz dynamics, okay? So, or not the kilohertz like electromagnetic transient dynamics. Those I cannot measure with this device. So I will get a good information on the 12.5, let us say any information, anything that is happening like electromechanical oscillations or any kind of oscillation in the system that we can easily observe, or any kind of dynamic changes that we study in power system software like ESSE, MATLAB, all these things we can see. But it will be like you can measure only up to the 12.5, whatever the frequency you decide for. Based on that, you can measure this kind of thing. So the solution that we have right now is that it is synchro phasor. It is slightly means we will look into that. This particular work, if you see, it is basically a relay kind of thing. Okay, relay will provide you this kind of sampled information, and you can estimate the phasor, and you can see all this kind of thing, your disturbance recorder file or the COMTRADE file that we have. While this is basically a compiled, means you can say the compressed information of this particular sine wave. This is basically one quantity. Okay, so this is basically one particular information that I am getting for this complete window. So I will not be able to observe the complete dynamics. Let us say there is some slight small spikes are there in this one due to some issue. I may not able to observe this kind of thing, but certainly I am going to get an estimation of this particular thing, that this is having a magnitude like this and this is angle theta like this. So what is this? But this particular quantity is called, we call it as a synchro phasor. Because what we have done is that we have given a common signal to all the places, to all the devices, which is doing this particular time window based estimation activity for any phasor at all the locations. So we call it as a synchro phasor because it is defined that we have given a reference signal. So reference signal is there, a time has been given, for a common time has been given. So common time we have provided with the help of the GPS device that is there, okay, to that device. So GPS is, GPS like we are already utilizing it. One for we utilize this for this purpose. We also utilize it for the time synchronization purpose also. We also utilize it for our day-to-day life, or from going from one place to another place. We see the Google map and all those. So that also we are having the GPS. And here we are utilizing it for the synchronization purpose, time synchronization, common time. So now what we do is that in generally, there are two quantities we can estimate. If it is a phasor, we can estimate in the form of sine also, we can estimate in the form of cos. But as a convention for power system, we usually go for the cos. Okay. So for the, why we are utilizing the cos? Because it is symmetrical across the axis also. Because if you see that it is quite symmetrical around this, this axis itself. Okay. So that's one reason. Another is most of the power system real-time quantities are measured in this. This is a convention that we follow in the power system, that this phasor estimation has to be done with respect to the cos wave. So this is, since the beginning itself, it has been discussed a lot. So one is the estimation I already told you. Another aspect is the common time reference that is given from the GPS. So, and let us say there are two quantities. Okay. So this is your reference signal, this blue one, and this is another place reference signal. This is again a blue one. Okay. So actual signal is this one. In the one location it is this, another location this is this. Okay. So what it is doing, that it is estimating this phasor with respect to this quantity. Okay. This is a perfect sinusoidal wave. This is there, and omega is again the fix for both of them. And what it is trying to do, it is trying to estimate how much phase shift is there with respect to this cos wave. Okay, this cos wave is basically at 0 degree basically. So how much means there is a phase shift between from this particular to this. So we can see that from this to this, there is a phase shift is like this, which from here you can see like this. This phase shift is existing between the reference signal and this actual signal in the power system. So this is the theta 1. Again, for this quantity, it is like this. It is shifted to this place, and same where it is like theta 2 is there. So when you actually plot this phasor, so with respect to common, this phasor estimation will be like this. Okay. And for this phasor estimation will be like this. And if you get this phasor estimation at each control center at the same time with this time reference, so you can align those things in a common time frame itself. So how it is resolving my problem is that rather than having a very large data set for complete sinusoidal wave, what we did is that we estimated the phasor out of that data set and sent those phasor estimation with respect to a common reference and with respect to a same time stamping. That is, time synchronization is also there, and the signal from which it has been referenced, it is a common signal to all the places. So with having these two things in mind, we send it to the control center. We have a very small data set, and we can utilize we can optimize our system. Like we can utilize the different fast communication bandwidth and all the common reference thing. All these are already available in the power system. And this helps in reducing our communication bandwidth. We have a very common reference, so we can have a common reference to utilize the data set. We have a small data set. We have a lower device processing speed. We have reduced our storage, and we can reduce the cost. So what is the device that this particular activity, which device is doing this particular activity? What we told you about the estimation. Who is doing this estimation? Which device is doing this actual activities of getting a time synchronized estimation? So that device, we call it as a phasor measurement unit. Okay. So what is a phasor measurement unit? It is a device which uses voltage, current signal and synchronizing signal and produces a synchronized phasor, frequency and rate of change of frequency. If you have a voltage, if you have a phase angle, then you can utilize those phase angle by just, it is like theta. If you have theta, then just the derivative of theta will provide you the angular speed, and double derivative will provide you the change in the rate of change of frequency itself. Okay. So if you have this synchronized phasor, you can easily get frequency and rate of change of frequency. That is the way in power system we try to utilize calculate the frequency. So this is like in the field we have this kind of thing. Okay. That we have current transducer and voltage transducer in the field. That is, we call it as a current transformer and voltage transformer. Okay. And then voltage transformer, it goes to anti-aliasing filter, then analog to digital converter. Then we have GPS receiver and phase lock oscillator. This provide a time synchronization to this. Then we have a phasor microprocessor that this, what it will do that I will tell you. Okay. So this particular is a to D converter. Okay. And this particular time window, it is being provided by the phasor, this your processor, and this t is equal to 0 or whatever the time is there right now at which the window has to start. It is being provided by this oscillator itself, means this GPS receiver from which the phase lock oscillator is there, and phase lock oscillator locks with the common GPS time frame, and then it provides a signal to the analog to digital converter for providing a synchro phasor. This phasor microprocessor processes the data and it's sent to the communication system. And then from communication system, it can come to the control center itself. So you can see that what is there? This is the potential transformer is there, current transformer is there. This is current transformer, this is voltage transformer is there. We have this optical units are there. Then we have devices, and these devices calculate the details and send into the control center. At control center, we have some devices which align these particular phasor information from different location in the grid with respect to the common time frame. Because GPS is available to all, so we can have a storage system where also this GPS signal will be coming, and it will align whatever the data that is coming from the field with respect to that GPS signal itself. Okay. There will be a time stamp with each phasor, and there will be a time stamp at the control center in the whatever the storage that we have. So it will match which time stamp all the data means for which time stamp, let us say t is equal to 0. So at t is equal to 0, whether I have received the data from all the places or not, and it will align that t is equal to 0 data, because that information is also in the particular data itself, because it is also coming from a time synchronized device. So it will align for that particular instant all the phasor information from all the location in the field. So in that manner, we are trying to get the data at control center. So this is just the model of the PMU that you are able to see, that it is able to provide phasor, frequency, rate of change of frequency. You can also, if you have current and voltage phasor, you can easily calculate active and reactive power, or you can have some masses also, you can have some digital information also. All this can be provided from a PMU model itself from the substation side. So just I will show you that how this looks like actually. Okay. So this is phasor R by B. You can see it is not rotating at angular speed, because if the angular speed is like omega, so it will be rotating 360 degree in within 20 millisecond itself. But what we have done is that we are not utilizing that information. We have estimating the phasor, one phasor in, let us say, for a 20 millisecond cycle or for a 40 millisecond cycle itself. So in that's why the speed is quite low compared to that. Okay. So what data we get from a phasor measurement system? We get voltage and current phasor. Then we have positive sequence component of voltage and current. You can get also negative and zero sequence, but we don't try to get it, because we can, if we have voltage and current phasor, then we can easily utilize those to calculate all the phasor, means this sequence components basically. But we try to get the positive sequence component directly, because we have to utilize it. We don't want to waste any calculation time. It can be done. Okay. Then we have rate of change of frequency. You can get some digital status also, right? Okay, protection, circuit breaker, isolator status also. So these device data is coming from the synchro phasor device. And at the control center, what we have is a PDC, phasor data concentrator. So its job is basically to time align all the data from different phasor measurement unit located in the field itself. Okay. And then it at the control center level, you can also do this calculation of power factor, active, reactive power, all this. So we will look how it is different from the actual system. It is why it is providing me a very good sample rate, why it is why we are telling you that it is providing me a dynamic kind of scenarios. So in Indian power system or any power system across the world, you can see that the sampling rate at which it is basically the reporting rate. Sampling rate is again at the relay level, it will be like 2 kilohertz, more than 2 kilohertz. Because for that, if you estimate a phasor, it will provide you a very good estimation. If you have lower number of, you can say the sample data within a particular 20 millisecond cycle, then that will be quite, means it will be less accurate for utilizing it for the protection or any other purposes for the at the relay level itself. So that's why this it is more like a relay itself. But however, there is an additional function incorporated to estimate the phasor rather than just providing me the analog to digital sample data, right? So presently, what we have in the control center earlier, we have this RTU based system, remote terminal unit. So RTU basically it is a slow sampling. It is basically providing me a data at 2 to 5 or 10 2 to 5 second itself. It provides me the magnitude because it is basically it is not time synchronized in the real time. So we are providing, because earlier the system was based on the visualization of the steady state particular. So it is non-time synchronized. It does not provide me any phase angle, and the data error is more than 2%. However, the coverage was quite great. Earlier, this is the earlier case. Now the PMU is there. What advantage it has over the existing conventional SCADA system? It is having very fast sampling. So it is providing me the same information with phase angle as well as the magnitude, and it is having a very high sampling rate, like it was providing me at 2 to 5 seconds. Okay. Now, what with the PMU system? It is providing me at let us say 25 hours, right? So 25 hours, that at each second, in each 1 second, I am getting 25 samples. That means at each 40 millisecond, I can get one sample. So that is quite high compared to the 2 to 5 second one sample. and also it is time synchronized, so that makes it more wonderful for our operational purpose job. Because for each if it is not time synchronized, then what will happen is that we will not be getting a complete picture of for that particular instant. It is just like you are getting a means you can say that you are just having a camera and you are trying to click a picture of the complete power system from all points. So you will get a complete overview of the power system at that particular instant, what is the magnitude at each point and what is the phase angle at each point. So I will just try to play this one. Okay, let me check. Yeah, so you can see this is lower one is the SCADA voltage and SCADA active power, and upper one is the PMU active power and PMU voltage. Okay, so you will see the dynamics. Okay, it is at 25 samples per second and it is at 10 basically. So we will see, look at the dynamics, means how the dynamics is changing. Somebody else annotation is also there. Kindly avoid that.
Sir, can you disable this? Because I have no option from here to disable it. As you are in presenter mode, now you can only disable.
Okay, okay, I have disabled it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Mouse. So you can see that the dynamics, it is a SCADA data. You cannot see these dynamics that is happening, this oscillation or anything that is happening in the system. This is active power, this is voltage. Let us look at how a disturbances or any electromechanical oscillation or any power swing is being looked into the SCADA system and looked into the PMU based system, PMU based observational system. Okay, for at the control center level. So we will have one small example here, and just look at this now. The event will happen and you will able to see. So just see that there is some event has happened and there are some oscillatory magnitude is coming. You can see the power swing is coming into the picture. The SCADA does not show these kind of dynamics changes in the system, this oscillation or this kind of event that is happening, how the power system is dynamically behaving in the system. It is just showing you that there are changes, but at what frequency it is changing, what is the oscillatory frequency, these information are not present in the from the conventional SCADA system. So it is available from the WAM system. You can see how whether it is detrimental and whether it is the system, whether it is stable or not. Do we have to take any preventive action or not? That we see on the application side. But a simple example is that it provides you a very good point, means information on the dynamics, sub-second dynamics. I told you now that this is the sub-second dynamic level monitoring you are able to do with the synchrophasor system. So just an overview that in USA this technology is opted, and now more than it is 2500, but it is now more than 3500 PMUs connected across the different voltage nodes in the US power system also. Same technology in China also, and same technology we will look into how in India it has been adopted. Okay. Yeah. So any doubt in between the means what this technology basically is, because we will now move forward in the direction towards the application side, how this technology is being utilized. Basically, the intent is that it provides me a synchrophasor, estimated synchrophasor, basically you can say estimated phasor for any particular time window that we decide that it has to report, and with a time synchronized information, and basically it is coming wherever we put these devices like the relays or any kind of devices which can measure the quantities, and it is providing me at a common control center that the overall picture. It differs from our existing SCADA in terms of very high speed information, time synchronized information, and we are able to monitor the angles. Earlier, we were not able to monitor the angle in real time. But now we are able to monitor the angle. Earlier, we used to estimate this angle. How we were estimating this angle? We were estimating this angle from the SCADA. We run a state estimator, and then we were able to estimate that this is the angle that is presently having. But now, rather than estimating, we are directly measuring the angle. We will look how this measurement is being done. Okay. So in India, initially it has started with 6 pilot projects in 2010 to 2012. And we have, at that time, we installed more than 60 PMUs from different vendors to test how the different vendor behaves with each other, how the data is there, how the information is there. Then from each in Indian power system, we have 5 regional grid which are interconnected with each other synchronously. And again, we have 5 control center for each regional grid. Okay, one is like Western region control center is at Bombay, Eastern region control center is at Kolkata, Northern is at Delhi. So in similar manner, this control center, we are having these PMU devices, and these devices means at the different location in the field, and they were means the information was being provided to each of the control center. Okay, this control center, this control center, then this control center. This data was coming from this location to this, all this. Then what we did is that we integrated all this data at a common control center also. So national control center is also there. So each regional control center PMU information was going to the national control center also. It was integrated there also. Okay. So in that manner, the national control center have the data from all the regional PMUs also. So region monitor their PMU for regional information. National control center monitor from the national point of view that it is getting all the complete data. So many utilization were there. Some public reports were published, and after this there was a large project of PMU that has come into the picture, which has more than 1700 PMU. So we went for a URT DSM, Unified Real-Time Dynamic State Measurement System. So this is basically the chronology of the event, how the URT DSM has come into picture. We will not go into that. So intention is that you have all 400 kV system and above system with PMUs. All the lines will be having the synchrophasor devices. And based on that, we will try to look into the various picture, means what is happening in the power system dynamics. So all regional, these devices will be first a state level. Okay, so within this state, let us say Gujarat is there. So in there, the Gujarat state, all PMU will be reporting to their state center. Same manner, Maharashtra will be reporting to the Maharashtra, or whatever the 400 kV nodes are there, their PMUs. And all these, certainly all these state will be then providing the information to the regional control center at Bombay also. Okay. And then after, what will happen, these control center will again provide the data to the national control center. Each regional will provide. So in the same manner, the philosophy is like that. This has been done. Okay. So that the regional control center, a state has its own information for a state purpose. Region will have the overall picture of the region, and the national will have the control center will have the complete picture of the all Indian power system. So, okay. So we have looked into the part that how this VAM system has been introduced in Indian power system and how it is being integrated, and what are how the devices are being installed at various 400 kV locations, how the system integrated, how the power data flow is there. So prior to going to the further picture, we will look into this, what is the basic, what are the other component in VAMs. Okay. So we know that earlier I told you about the PMUs that are installed in the substation. Okay. So we have these, these PMUs are there. Okay. Then we have a PDC at control center. You can have a PDC at a local also, this can provide the information. You can have a PDC at control center, which is concentrating all the data coming from PMU. And all these are having a standard, like GPS is having its own standard for time. PMU is having its own standard, how it has to report the data, C37.118, we call it. And now the 2011-2014 version is there. Then PDC has its own kind of a standard. Okay. And then we have real-time monitoring system is there. Data offline monitoring system is also there, where you can do with the data a lot of investigation. You have a data storage, you have historian also. So all these are there, so that you can analyze different components are there, and you can provide this information to any third party energy management system like a SCADA system also for providing multiple kind of outputs. So this can be also be done. So we will look into what kind of information that we can have from the PMUs. Okay. This is just the general layout of any control center. You can see multiple things are being monitored at the same time, like weather information is there. Then you have generation monitoring, reserve monitoring, network diagram of complete entire power system. What is the schedule, interchange, market operation activities going on? How load generation is being balanced? How the frequency is being controlled? Whether which one is overdrawing, which one is underdrawing? All these information are there. What are the real time? Any event is happening? Any line is tripping? Any fault is there? All this information is there. What is the forecast value? What is the, and this is basically, this is a SCADA system. This complete information is from the SCADA. This is from the weather information monitoring system. And this is basically the WAMP system that has been introduced. So these are the basically the three major components that we have in the control. So apart from this, also there are multiple things, but just basically for the visualization purpose that we have for, these are basically the eyes of the operator, you can say. So we will look into how we can utilize this quantity. Okay. So as I have told you that these are GPS connected devices. So we have a GPS location. So we can have the real-time information. We can have multiple alarms, which kind of voltage is, whether any problem is happening in the grid. Later there is a low frequency, there is a high means high power is flowing across this corridor, or high voltage is there. So these kind of information, you can see the event information or the alarms will be there. Another thing is that you can have angular measurement, okay, from any point of the grid which is having the PMU with respect to any other point, okay. So I told you one information in the beginning that all these are providing me the phase angle with respect to the common reference, okay, that is phi. It is providing me the phase angle with respect to phi. So if you utilize this one PMU phi, then it has no meaning, because one PMU phi will be certainly like it is going on and keep on increasing. Okay. So it will have no information for all of us. But what we will certainly have, let us say there are two PMU which are providing information at this particular time. Okay. So if you subtract these two PMU, then you will get the phase angle difference between this. It's just like telling you that I am measuring an angle of point B with respect to point A and point C with respect to point B. Okay, same point, common point A. And I wanted to know what is the phase angle difference between, what is the actual phase angle between point B and C. So we will subtract this. So it is just like the same. We have a common reference here. The reference is common is GPS. With respect to, I am measuring the quantity of angle for particular point B and particular point C. So if we wanted to know about the phase angle difference point B and C, I will directly subtract their angle, and that will be the phase angle separation. So now this angular separation measurement is directly possible in the power system with the help of the synchro phasor devices. This was earlier not possible with respect to the completely with the respect to the whatever the SCADA system that we are having. There we used to estimate these kind of quantities. And this angle is very important for the system operator in terms that it provides me the stress in the grid, any event in the grid, any alarm in the grid, any operational impact. If you have the angle, you can monitor all this kind of quantity. I will just intimate you. That let us say this is the angular separation for the entire power system, all India power system. With respect to, you can say that one particular common reference means, let us say I have put one particular location as a reference and I have subtracted from this, let us say A, B, multiple point A hai, B hai, then C, D, E is F, something like that are there. Okay. So let us put A as this one reference as a reference and subtract B, C, D, E, F, something like that. So what we'll be having is that, okay, so we will have that with respect to A, all these angle, how they are varying with each other. So if there is any change in angle of any particular location, it means there is some event has happened at that location. So we can know immediately. So I am not going to explain many of the things. Just I will tell you that, okay, you can see there is a large separation. How high is the stress in the system is there? How much angular separation between the widest node means which are located far away is there, maximum angular separation in the power system, how much stress in the power system is there. So all this information is available to the operator. Based on that, they decide their operational dispatch actions. Okay. So, and we try to look into this angle separation information. We try to use this for quantification of event also. So you can see that this angle separation, let us say I have this angular separation for 1 year for between these two nodes. We try to baseline these things. What is my nominal operational range? Like it is a wide area angle. Like let us say we have one location O, other location N. It is a generation. It is a load. So what is this? This particular area is providing supply to this through various transmission line. Okay, this power is coming to this area come through different transmission line. So if I have this O and N, what is the angular separation which is nominal? So if we see that this is the nominal angle separation for which the most of the time it is operating in this band itself. And if it is going above this band, this means that your angle is quite high and there is a high loading and the voltage will certainly reduce. And this is the angle is low, then there is a low loading and voltage is increasing. So this provides an alert to the operator that you have to take certain action during this kind of time. So this is where the information can be utilized. You can see that I will tell you that one event is there. So multiple line tripping is happening and how this angle from this particular generation source to this particular load. These are the generation plant. You can see this generation is there. And other the generation source is here also, here also. I have not shown you, I have just shown you major generation source here. And from here to here, this place is there. So A to B, what is the angle separation, how it is varying. Okay. So you can see that as soon as one line trips, major lines is tripping. So what will happen? The loading on the other line will be increasing. So certainly the impedance is increasing, and impedance is increasing. You know that P is equal to V1 by V1 into V2 into sine delta by X. If you are increasing X, but the power has to be same, then what will happen is that you have to provide adequate reactive power for keeping the voltage, and you have to increase your angle to same amount of power delivery. So this angle between these 2 points node will keep on increasing. So you can see that if there is a tripping, then this angle is keep on increasing. Then you can certainly see another tripping is there. As soon as the line is closed, the angle is reducing. Again, this major line trips. You can see there is a very large change in angle. Then this line was closed immediately after tripping. So as soon as this line was closed, you can see the angle has reduced. So this is the way the angle separation is being utilized by the operator. Then there are event of oscillation, electromechanical oscillation due to the power system means non-linear nature is there. Okay, because all the power system is basically it is a combination of different machine running at a synchronized frequency. However, there is a electromechanical part because all these machine having a mechanical part also connected, which are producing the electrical power. So if this mechanical power oscillates, then it will result into this kind of oscillation in the system. So you can see in real time also, you can see there is an oscillation at one of the nodes, 1 point. So as soon as this oscillation is coming into the picture, we will see the alarms. Then this oscillation is coming into the system. So we will see how the alarms is coming into picture. So you can see that there is the alarms are coming up. This mode is going to the right side, and if any modes goes to the right side, then it means that in the control system itself we have seen that if something goes on to the right side, this eigenvalue 0 and poles, then it is meaning the system is going to become unstable. So in the same manner, it is if it goes from left to right side, means its damping is reducing and it is going to a negative damping, and it is going to create a problem for the power system. So in this manner, electromechanical oscillation, which are basically in range of, you can say 0.1 hertz to up to 4 hertz, basically in the power system. So basically maximum it has going to the 3 hertz, but somewhere it can go up to 4 hertz also. So my sampling frequency was 25 hertz. So I can measure up to 12.5 hertz oscillation with respect to the Nyquist criteria. And the oscillatory frequency of electromechanical oscillation are 0.1 hertz to 4 hertz. So we can easily see all these electromechanical oscillation we can calculate what is means we from where its magnitude is high is coming, and most of the time higher magnitude resolved to the source of the oscillation. If any problem with any controller of the generator or any HVDC, something like that, then we can easily determine this kind of oscillatory phenomena, and we can provide the feedback to the operator that whether feedback to the generating plant or any the controlling devices, what has to be done at that particular location. Another example of again the same kind of oscillatory phenomena was there. So I will not explain, we will not go into depth of that. Then you can have a contour based visualization that is available in a SCADA also, and this is available from this system also. You can see the pockets of high voltage, pockets of low voltage, pocket of area. So you can see for the how the system operator can get a very quick overview of the complete system. Means numbers are there, like two means you have 10,000 number of points and you are getting that, okay, and all these are interconnected points. So these will be quite related with each other. But rather than providing only the numbers, we provide the information in the forms of picture, which provides completely a big picture of the complete system, what action has to be taken at broad level. So this is like this. We can have operation alarms. You can also have you can see that the faults, whatever the faults are happening in the system, we immediately came to know what kind of, whether the protection is operating correctly. Let us say there is a generation tripping, immediately the frequency is dropping completely. So this kind of generation loss event, fault event, all these are real time, can be easily monitored in real time now. And which phase the fault is there, whether the protection has cleared the fault within the time duration or not. Because it is, we are having a 40 millisecond information and protection operate within the 60 millisecond. So we easily came to know that, okay, the fault is there, whether it has cleared within the 100 millisecond, 200 millisecond or not. So this kind of information is also available now. Any specific phenomena also can be there, like any problem with the valve, generator problems, any HVDC controller malfunction is there. And we can have the digital synchroscope also. We can utilize this because we have the voltage and current phasor. So phasor information is available in real time, right? So if you have the phasor information from the phasor from the of the different nodes, the line voltage or the bus voltage, you can utilize this information in the like the substation. They utilize the voltage of the across the breaker to synchronize it. Okay, so what you have one voltage from the bus side, one voltage from the line side, live line side, and if you want to close the breaker, you can utilize those kind of voltages for providing the information whether I can close the breaker or not. So that kind of thing. Earlier, it was possible only from the field visualization. Now you can easily do at the control center level also. So another problem is that there can be a phase sequence issue also at the lower voltage level, because the distribution power system or the state power system has evolved initially in a separate manner compared to the combination regional power system formation. So what we have seen is that there was a problem of phase there was a problem here. Okay, so there was this across here, this is R by B. Okay, and on this side the convention utilized by B by R. However, this system is completely R by B and R by B. Okay, so 400 kV system ISTS. But at the lower voltage side, one side R by B was there, another side B by R was there. So if you connect these in the same manner like R by B to B by R, then there will be certainly a larger problem for the 400 kV, because this will be a phase sequence will be opposite. So any kind of phase sequence of position means we are connecting different phases with the different phases. We are trying to create a shorting. So that will be a problem for that. So this particular issue was resolved when we were trying to synchronize this particular line through this breaker. So when we try to this particular part was like this. So here it is R by B. Okay, the same is there. However, here if we are charging up to this point, it has converted to B by R. So when you compare this B by R to R by B, this information was available and this particular issue was avoided in the real time, and it was intimated to a state to correct the phase sequence fault at the substation level. I will not show you the video. We can have other kind of information like these are some of the offline application I wanted to show. that we can utilize the information like primary frequency response. Generator has to provide, it has its own droop characteristic. So in case there is a sudden frequency drop is there, the generator, what they do is that they will increase their generation. Okay. So let us say this sudden drop is there, then generator will increase their generation immediately to provide the support to the system. Okay. So this is basically the common way of, means you can say that frequency response is there. This is how the primary frequency response behave in the power system, where the generator will increase their generation up to their certain capacity, whatever is limitation has been provided, and they will provide so that the frequency can recover back. However, in some cases, we have seen that generator are not providing the good response. So this also we are able to monitor, because these are sub-second information. So we are able to capture where the problem is there, this problem. Here you can see that there is this has provided the initial particular change in the generation, but it has suddenly become zero also. It has reduced back to its original position, and later on it has provided with a delay. Here it has not provided at all, it has increased and suddenly it has decreased. So this kind of, we provide the feedback to the generator to tune their parameters, tune their generator control so that they can provide the proper frequency response for the grid operation or reliability of the grid. You can also check the power system stabilizer tuning, how the system, whether the system stabilizer has behaved correctly or not. So these activities also can be done with the help of synchro phasor itself. You can validate any particular generator model, dynamic model. We have some model for this particular generator. So we can see that whether this particular generator is providing me the correct response as per its model or not. So we have, let us say for any event, we have the voltage and frequency for this node. Okay. So what we do is that we feed this information to this generator, and the generator replicate this voltage and frequency and try to change its P and Q according to that. And we compare the actual P and Q with respect to the simulated P and Q that we obtained from the V and F, actual V and F. And we compare that and we see that, okay, it is whether it is responding well or not, or whether there is a requirement of tuning of the generator parameters, or whether we have to check or go for a checking of the parameters of the generator. So you need to have a very good, accurate model so that you can understand the dynamics of the system. So for that also, synchro phasor is helping a lot. We have a large number of protection scheme in the system. So already told you we can use this protection power synchro phasor dynamic information to check whether the protection scheme is acting properly or not. Let us say I have a protection scheme where we are just measuring two powers from two transmission line. We are submitting them, and if it is more than 1500 and it is more than 1500 megawatt, let us say for 2.5 seconds, then there is an action has to be done. And if it is less than that, then there is no action is required. So what we see is that one SPS has operated during this time. So whether it was a correct operation or not. So we see that the summation from the line voltage is that it is a field. This device is located in field. Okay, but we have the information of megawatt at our end also with the help of PMU, and it is dynamic one. So we see, and you can see that within 2.5 milliseconds, you have to check whether it is there or not. So you have to have a very good data for more than 2.5 seconds. It means the resolution should be quite high. So we see that, okay, for 2.5 seconds, this is above this one. Okay, this 1500 megawatts. So the operation was correct. Another SPS was also there, which was checking that if it is in the 400 megawatt per second, whether the rate of change of this power is more than 400 megawatt per second from this side to this side, not from this to this side. So what we observe is that, okay, let us see this is there or not. So we have seen that this was operating irrespective of the direction. So we blocked this SPS basically based on the information collected from the synchro phasor data itself. Then if there is any issue with any CT or CVT, because you know that the initial input that we took for the phasor estimation of current and voltage is from CT and PT. So any problem with the measurement device itself will be reflected in the PMU data itself. So that also we have seen. We have seen that there was any CT problem with the city itself, CVT itself. Voltage data was coming and the CVT was providing erratic information. So first we tried to ask the site to check the information whether any loose connection. There was no loose connection. Then we told them that their CVT need to be checked. The CVT is providing a very erroneous data, and the CVT was on verge of failure, but it was avoided by the substation, and substation also seen that there are some leakage also. So this kind of thing can also be provided, and we can provide a support to the controls from control center to the respective site also. And another thing is that you can validate the protection system. All this can be done. I already told you that this information can be utilized, whether the protection has operated, whether it has operated within the time or not. These information can also be provided. So on the means you can see there are multiple benefits that it has provided added to the power system operator. It has provided a paradigm shift after the SCADA system. SCADA, now operator utilizing the SCADA as well as the synchro phasor system to get a very good overall picture of the complete system, and it has enabled operators hand means in the faster restoration also. We get information of the fault immediately. We take decision according to that, whether we should go for patrolling or whether we should go for restoration. Immediately taking a trial attempt, all these information in details and these actions are being taken in real time. Any issue of the oscillation are being resolved in real time itself. So there are multiple things. So now the reduction in major number of outages, the analysis is very easy compared to the earlier days. We have to collect the data from the remote site also. But most of the time we already have much information in the form of synchro phasor. Then equipment failures, catastrophic emergency we are trying to avoid, faster line reclosing, a smoother generator synchronization, black start restoration, forensic analysis, like for much faster event analysis. We try to share our events, whatever the lesson learned from with the utility to take corrective action. So all these means multiple awareness, all these are available from the means synchro phasor. So overall summary is like that. It has provided a very good, it is a very good tool for the system operator in providing a complete awareness to the, means providing a good picture of the dynamics of the power system and understanding those dynamics and taking the corrective action in respect to that, and providing a proper feedback to all the users of the power system so that they can also take the help from us and take a corrective action according to that, and try to avoid the, try to improve the reliability of the system, try to reduce the number of events in the power system. So that's all from my side.
Now we can open the session for question answers. So I am unmuting to all. Now you can ask your queries.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, actually, I want to know what are the other algorithms apart from non-recursive and recursive DFT used for estimation of phasor? Can you please tell me some name of some algorithms?
I also know this recursive and non-recursive only, basically. Other algorithms are there, but generally you can see that being utilized for the testing is basically from the recursive and non-recursive only. And in generally, we are trying to avoid non-recursive. We are trying to avoid most of the time because it depends upon the power system. If you have a very small power system where the oscillatory and the number of disturbances are quite high and the fluctuation is quite high, automation is not there to bring back the frequency to 50 Hz, all these kind of things. There we try, because most of the time when the frequency is deviating a lot, there this non-recursive is good, but where the frequency is completely within the picture, like it is near to the 50 Hz, there you usually try to use the recursive because it is taking a small time frame also and calculation is fast. So all those things provide a better accuracy also. So in that manner it is being decided basically. And I also do not have that much information on the algorithm side. I have also read in the books in the synchro phasor power system itself. That book by Padge sir is there. So in that only I have read about this recursive and non-recursive algorithm and what is the difference between recursive and non-recursive.
Okay. Do you have any MATLAB simulations related to PMU?
No, we have the real PMU. So why I should go for a MATLAB simulation?
Yeah. Okay. No, for research purpose, I'm asking, sir, actually.
No, research purpose means I do not have. You can consult OpenPMU. I hope you have went through this OpenPMU part.
OpenPMU.
Yeah, you can search on the net itself, openpmu.org. Okay.
Okay.
So it is open source basically. So you can do those kind of PMU. You can create your own PMU at the lab itself. There is no, it is utilizing the NI platform itself.
Okay, sir. How any lab you are using to execute the PMU?
No, nothing. It is a real PMU. These are installed in film. More than 1700 PMUs are installed in Indian power system, and we are utilizing those information for real-time operation.
Sir, actually, I had worked on a real-time PMU which was installed by ABB, and it was compatible with PCM 600 software. So, what is the difference between this NI PMU and that PMU?
Nothing difference will not be there. Means I told you there are. How I will tell you, just you have to go through the reports. I will tell you, means the reports are in the there are two reports that you can write down. Synchrophasor initiative in Indian power system.
Okay.
There is a 2013 report is there. So you can check that report, and in that report it has been mentioned how this different vendor PMU respond. There are multiple issues there, like rate of change of frequency, the frequency. They use different algorithms internally. They will not disclose you the algorithm, but they use. But what they provide is that, okay, my total vector error is within the 1% limits, and the rate of change of frequency is within that limit. But certainly there are issues.
Okay.
Issues in respect to that, from where they are taking the time window. Now this IEEE has also standardized the time window. Earlier it was not a standardized in 2011 standard. So now the 2014 standard itself has standardized those. And the dynamic response of the frequency and rate of change of frequency is also standardized. So those information with more standardization in the system, that has now become more or less means compatible. But certainly another issue is that which filter are being bypassed or which filter are being utilized by the PMU. Now that's why they have done the classification of P class and M class PMU measurement and protection class PMU. So all those you can see that protection class is more accurate for a shorter time frame. But however, we utilize the measurement class for our purpose, basically for better accuracy for the measurement in terms of dynamic measurement. So in that way, we are trying to use it. So now it is also still under revision. Now the next version will also be coming. We are also involved in that also. The next version will also be coming in I think this year or by next year it will be coming, the newest PMU standard.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, we are synchronizing the time period of these phasor measurement units. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So whether this time period it is synchronized with a load dispatch center, a regional load dispatch center, or with the central load dispatch center? I will tell you, sir.
Sir, I will just the information is like that. I will tell you. You have I intimated you now. There is a common GPS. Okay. You have GPS 20 means that 24 satellites are required for the complete GPS system in the world, right? And you need at least 3 satellites for your own location. However, for your time synchronization, you only need 1 satellite itself is enough for you, right? But however, we certainly use 3 satellites because it provides you any error between them we try to reduce it. Okay. So, means you have this satellite system, GPS receiver at your control center also. You have this satellite at your PMU also. You have a satellite at your wherever you are trying to put the data. Purpose is like that. PMU is there. PMU, just let me finish it. PMU is there, right? So PMU is at the substation, right? Your substation, let us say Maharashtra is there, let us say Padge substation is there, Kalwa substation is there. In that, I have installed a PMU in one of the transmission line. It is taking the current transformer of that transmission line and voltage transformer of the bus. Okay. And then it is trying to calculate the phasor and it is synchronizing with the same GPS. And now it is providing me, let us say, I tell you now the right time t is equal to 0 is there. And for this Okay, I am getting some noise. Okay, so right now, let us say at this particular time interval t is equal to 0, I am getting this phasor data and it is time stamp. T is equal to 0. My quantity is like let us say voltage is 230 kilovolt and the phase angle is 20 degree with respect to the GPS. Okay. Now same information from the another location in another part of the grid, it is at the same t is equal to 0, it is providing 235 kilovolt and at a phase angle of 40 degree. Okay. Now I am trying to utilize this t is equal to 0 part. It is means because the time stamping is there. This time stamping, actual time stamping will be like this. Right now the time is 6/6/2021, 12:21 hour is there. Let us say 10 minutes is there. 12:21 p.m. Now the time is 10 seconds, so 12:21, 10 seconds, and the millisecond information because we are getting in the data at millisecond, so 0.000. Okay, so this information from with the data is coming at the control center because this data is having a time stamping also. Okay, with respect to GPS. Same GPS is available at control center, sir, right? So what control center PDC, phasor data concentrator will do, it will just take that particular time stamp. It is also running in real time. These are happening in real time. Okay, so it is actually having this t is equal to let us say 12:21 10 second 0.000, and it is waiting for the data for this particular having this particular time stamp from the field. And you know this data is coming through optical fiber communication, so it will be coming with a latency of minimum 2 millisecond to 20 or 30 milliseconds. So as soon as it is coming to the control center the PDC is aligning this time stamping data for all the location. Okay, so all the location this time stamping data, let us say substation A is having at t is equal to this 230 this. Substation B at the same time is having this, substation C, substation D, all are aligned. And now I will ask you that you calculate at PDC level or the control which is located at control center. I ask you, do you have the information for this t is equal to 12:21 10:000 milliseconds? So you will tell me, yes sir, I am having the complete information from all the PMU as provided for this particular time stamp, and I have cross-checked with my time stamp. I have aligned this at my time stamp also for the same duration, and I can show you the picture of complete system, what is the voltage and what is the phase angle, and I can provide you the complete information what is the phase angle difference between all the nodes with respect to each other. So that information I can provide. So hope it is now clear that both are having the GPS and they are aligning with respect to GPS only. The data from PMU is having a time stamp. Without time stamp, it is not coming. I told you the device name itself is phasor measurement unit, and the data it is providing in the form of phasor is synchro phasor, not phasor. Synchro phasor means synchronized, time synchronized phasor. So it is having a phasor quantity with time stamping, GPS time stamping.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Okay, thank you.
If anyone has further queries, they can ask. Otherwise, we can close the session.
Hello, sir. Santosh, this is Ashish.
Ashish ji, just 1 minute. Somebody is at the door. Just 1 minute. Okay. Sorry for keeping you waiting. Yeah, please. Ashish ji.
Yes. Problem. So it was a really fantastic lecture. Actually, I've attended this for the first time, and I thank Santosh for that. My question is not very technical, since everybody here is technical, and my question is regarding the application. So, is there any application related to the line fault location? Can we use this, or are we using this to detect the fault on the line.
Yes. Certainly, I will answer to that. Yeah, this is a very good, because many times means I go to the MPPTCL also. Okay, so there this question is there. There is a this is means PMU. It is being utilized by operator. How with it can help the substation people, substation whether to improve their system itself. So this question is also asked how it can be utilized, like line fault location, or otherwise you can say any CTPT failure, whether it can be detected or not, or any other kind of support to the substation people. So this information in terms of transmission side, people asking. So the answer to your question is that, sir, like I already told you that right now what we are utilizing is the phasor measurement information. Basically the time data, it is coming at 40 millisecond, right? So 40 millisecond, and you have a fault in how much duration, sir? It is coming in duration of, let us say it is persisting for 10, because you have a half cycle relay, right? So half cycle relay means within 10 millisecond, the relay is able to detect the fault, and within the next 50 millisecond, the operation will be done. The breaker will be operating. So within the next, you can say that 60 to 90 millisecond, the complete power system fault is getting separated from the system. So we have and our time stamping is like that. We are getting a data in 40 milliseconds. So we are getting only one data or two sample of data for each fault, right? So, and again, the issue is that we are either it can be a P class or M class. Whether it is a P class, in general we use measurement class. So measurement class data cannot be utilized for your actual fault, right? So that's why this fault location calculation cannot be done directly from the PMU itself, because the data resolution is not of that kind. However, let us say I have a PMU of P class, and let us say I take a PMU data at each 10 millisecond window. Means for each cycle I am having either 2 data or 3 data, something like that I am having for each 20 millisecond cycle. So if that is the kind of information is available and it is a P class means we don't have. In M class, what will happen is that you will be getting, let us say there is a fault of means 20 kiloampere or 10 kiloampere, then saturation of CT will come into picture for M class. In actual things, when you see the fault current, it will be like 2 to 3 kiloampere it can show, but certainly 10 or 20 or 30 or 40, something like it will not be showing to you until unless you have a P class kind of measurement. P class core you are utilizing for the application of PMU. So that's why there is a classification has been right now done, P and M. On the side of means this is the way you can do this activity, right? Okay. Otherwise, in M class, I will tell you that you are not able to go for this kind of whatever you are telling you about the location of the fault. I am not able to do that. What I do is that right now also I am doing it because in our Indian power system it is M class. So right now we are also utilizing the disturbance recorder file itself for calculating the actual fault location. What we right now in Eastern region, what we do is that in case any problem is there, we get this particular DR data from both the end, and then we use the two-sided fault calculation for getting a very more accurate data rather than single-sided. So that is one aspect. Another aspect, whether it is being utilized anywhere else, M class and this P class has been tested or not. It has been tested, sir, that PMU can provide you better accuracy, because in terms there are two things. One thing is that PMU can be utilized for the actual, means what is the transmission line length. Okay, because depending upon the day and time, the date of time of the event, basically the impedance of the line RXB parameter varies. Relay has a fixed RXB parameter, right? However, in the actual system, RXB parameter, depending upon the temperature, depending upon the humidity, all these are varying quantity. So PMU can detect the actual length of the means what is the impedance of the line, and based on that, if you feed that impedance to the relay, it can provide you more accurate result. Directly, there is no, right now, till now, I have not seen any application on the side of utilization for calculation of the location of the fault directly from the PMU. It is not possible because of the limitation on the side that we don't have that much of information. But certainly what we can do is that you can utilize your conventional system However, the impedance that you are taking is you can take from the PMU itself that it has calculated for that particular time, because you have a 2-end PMU, both end have PMUs. You can get a very good accurate picture of the impedance RXB parameter for that particular line at that time. And you can utilize those information for that fault in the fault recorder information, and you will get a very more accurate. It has been observed across that one utility in USA, they have done it for multiple kind of scenarios, and they have seen that accuracy has increased by around 20%. So that is what I can tell you right now about this fault location utilization, or the fault location distance measurement utilization from the PMU side. Directly no utilization, but if it can provide you a good picture of the impedance, and you can utilize those impedance data in your relay or the disturbance recorder file, whatever you are utilizing, and there you can get with that picture how much accuracy can certainly have increased a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Sir?
Yes, sir.
So how that, if we consider in today's era where there's a cyber attack phenomena is likely to be there in this market, how PMU can be prevented such operation? Is it possible that PMU itself will not get any incident of a cyber attack?
Yes, I will tell you two things. One thing is that Indian power system utilizes a separate communication channel for power system operator. It is not utilized for any other communication. It is it is a separate physical channel itself is separate from this channel. And the second thing is that all these are encrypted data. Third thing is that PMU right now, it is not being utilized for any control application. So you cannot do any control. You can, even if somebody is doing that, even if somebody is probing into that, still cannot be any changes in that. And fourth thing is that if you do any changes, the complete parameter, it will go, means like you will be able to see that the system parameter has changed. And because it is a relative system, it is not that it is with respect to that one parameter is completely with respect to a common reference. So if the common reference is not changed, it is a GPS reference. If somebody is spoofing the GPS directly from the satellite, then the whole world will be in chaos, right? So if, let us say, if not there at the substation level, it is being done, or something like it is being done, there also you can see that there are multiple layer of firewall has been done. And it is only one-way communication. We don't go for two-way communication. Okay. So in that manner, it has been number of multiple layers has been provided to segregate the cybersecurity part. First, most common, most prominent thing in power system is that it is a separate kind of whatever you are utilizing, it is a separate physical channel is available for the communication of this power system part. So it is not with the common, you cannot utilize internet, or you will not have any internet access or any kind of thing on this power networks. You don't have anything. It is only for the power system information transformation. So that
you can continue.
Yeah. So in that way, it is being prevented. Otherwise, the firewall and all.
If you are going for a smart grid operation, maybe where we will be you connecting, connectivity will be through the internet also. Whether that case, maybe
there are things like data diodes are there. Like one way means you can communicate from this system to other system, but other system cannot send back the information to this system. So there are firewalls and there are VPNs also. So in that manner, it is being communicated. Not through any direct communication is not possible at all.
Okay.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, can you get the PPT which you used today? Actually,
yes, I will share that. Yes, certainly, we will share that.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
I think there are no more queries. So can we close the session now, sir? Hello, sir.
Santosh ji, we can close the session, sir.
Yeah. So now I want to conclude the session. So thanks to every participant for participating in this free webinar on synchrophasor technology. And especially thanks to Chandan Kumar sir to have a best presentation on this technology. He has given complete knowledge to us right from the basics to the advanced utilization of these PMUs. So once again, thanks to all of you for joining this session.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
So we can disconnect. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now we are closing this session. Once again, thanks.